What's going on, guys? My name is Amy. Welcome to the channel. I am a newbie day trader in month 5. I can't believe it's almost month 6 in May. And I am just sharing the journey on YouTube. So feel free to tag along, share your thoughts in the comments. Maybe you've been trading for a while. Are you new as well? What are you trading? I trade stocks and ETFs right now. That's just my preferred method. Who knows in the future, but that's where I'm concentrated on. And if you want to know who I'm learning from or what resources have helped me thus far, feel free to check out my day trading resources link down in the description and the comments section. And all you got to do is put in your email and you can see my working Google document of all the things I've put in there. I've got YouTubers, I've got book links, I've got, there's a course I bought recently, specific videos, anything and everything that's helped me on the journey. So my main goal right now is focusing on profitability. Like, obviously this is probably the goal of most traders. And one of the things I realized when I looked back at a timeline of my own life was that there was certain habits that I had implemented. For example, I've been an entrepreneur for almost 10 years this July. And when I started that journey, it took me 10 months to quit my job, go full-time as an entrepreneur. When I started that journey, I actually had this huge personal development breakthrough. And I was like reading all these books and I was studying business and marketing and things like that. But I was also studying personal development, stuff about meditation, stuff about mindfulness, law of attraction, prosperity thinking, all this kind of stuff. And what I think really caused the shift for me and basically allowed me to live out that dream was having these habits that came from studying personal development. So I'm creating this series on YouTube, which is actually a redo of a series I created 5 years ago. And at the time it was sort of a general, here's 30 habits, transformational habits that help me in my life. And I thought, what if I applied that to day trading? Like specific to what I'm working on right now, because 5 years ago I wasn't day trading. I was working on other online businesses. So I thought, let's apply it to this and let's see what happens. So this is kind of like a journey, follow along, feel free to do what I'm doing kind of thing. And I'm breaking it down by 30 days. So it'll take me longer than 30 days to actually put the videos out, but I'm gonna be as consistent as I can. So between now, which is the end of April, and into May and beginning of June, you'll see like these videos rolling out. So let's get into it. Day 1 is called goal setting. So you can't get anywhere you want to go without knowing where you want to go. So goal setting is crucial, and I think this is the core foundation for me, maybe for you, of like, first of all, figuring out what did you want from day trading? Like, what was the goal behind getting into day trading? We can all be very general here and say the money, which of course is enticing and attractive and is definitely what brings people into day trading for sure. But it's got to be rooted in something more meaningful. And I'll tell you, for me, back in November, I attended a conference, a success conference. It's part of a club I'm in. And I went to Chicago. And on the plane ride home, I suddenly had this urge to whip out my Kindle and read like this trading book I hadn't read in years. And I don't even know exactly like where the idea came from. I know that I went to that event thinking, I want to do something different with my life. I'm not having fun anymore doing what I'm doing online, business-wise. I want to change things. I want to do something that is fun, that every day I'm looking forward to. I also want to make, put time into something that not only is fun, but can make me a lot of money, So those were kind of like 2 criteria rolling around in my head. And on that plane ride home, I was drawn to the book, How I Made $2 Million in the Stock Market by Nicholas Darvis, I think is his name. Great book, old book, but really good. And it totally sparked this whole journey for me. after I came home, 2 days later, I started trading. And prior to that, I had always just been an investor. Like the idea of buying and selling stocks in the same day was like, what? I'd always held things, been like, no, I'm in it for the long haul. So it was a little bit of a mindset shift to learn how to swing trade and day trade. And I really didn't start my day trading journey until December. But there was the goal, what I mentioned about when I went to that conference. It was like, I want to find some means of doing something that's really fun. I wake up every day, I'm looking forward to doing what I get to do, and that can potentially make me a lot of money. And of course, day trading has the potential for unlimited amount of earning. Like the sky's the limit, right? There's always plenty of money to be had. Did I initially think like this is going to replace an income? No, I am like wise enough to know that it's not going to happen overnight. I'm not going to go from complete newbie to it's paying all my bills, but that was definitely part of the goal. Now, here's something I learned over 10 years of being an entrepreneur, all these years studying personal development and, figuring out my life. And I've been able to create things in my life that I wanted. I've seen it happen many times where I have created things that I said I would, and I went out and I freaking did it. And one of the things that kind of was behind that was the idea of let's always have a goal, but not necessarily putting a time on it. So what do I mean by that? A lot of goal books will tell you that you need to write out your goal and you need to put a date on it. This is so that you keep yourself accountable and you stay on track and yada yada. What I found was that this became difficult when the date came and you didn't hit your goal. Because what happens? You feel bad. You're like, oh, dang, I was like really going for this and it didn't work out. So, okay then. Move the goal, right? And I found myself doing this with certain goals I had, and especially sometimes around money, like, certain money goal. And it starts to erode your self-confidence because you're like, okay, I pushed it back again, another month. And then you get to a point where you're kind of like, is this ever going to happen? Because you're focused on when it's going to happen, right? What does that actually mean? When you're focused on the when and you go for a date, like this must happen by X date, you're actually thinking of the fact that you don't have what you want. So you're thinking of the lack of it. So basically, all the time you think of your goal, you're thinking of, I don't have it. And you're thinking about some projected date in the future that is telling your mind that you don't have it because you're still thinking about some other date in the future. And what I've learned from studying law of attraction, manifestation, all these mindset type books and beliefs and courses and seminars is that you're never going to get it if you're focused on the lack of it. And I won't say that dates don't sometimes work, but I think it's much harder to create something in your life when you have this immense pressure on yourself to do it by a date. So what I've come to believe is that it's, more so about the feelings that you're creating as you're on the journey. You're enjoying yourself, you're having fun, or you wanting to do this thing. And also like, as you go along the journey, that you don't care so much. When you're trying so hard, you're creating a lot of tension in your body, in your environment, and you end up caring too much about the outcome. And as well as I do, when you focus on the outcome of a trade, what ends up happening usually, right? You're like, oh, it's gonna work out. Oh, no, it's gonna work. And then you lose money, right? Because you're focused on the outcome instead of the process. So this applies to goal setting as well. And I know for me that I think setting that initial goal of I want to do something really fun and I want it to earn a lot of money, but I didn't set any kind of date on myself, that's all that's required. That's when the trading just fell in my lap. And at any point in time, there's a lot of money out there, right? Like the potential is there. I'm not doing that just yet, but the potential is there. So my goals are lined up with what I'm actually doing on a daily basis. So I just encourage you, think about this concept, this habit of setting the goal, figuring out, what does that specifically entail for you? Personally, I've found that if I focus on lifestyle, like how I'm actually living in that goal, what does my life look like? It's easier to create it as a reality. So for example, one of the things that I know that I'm creating is the future ability to continue traveling. And I see myself like trading from cruise ships. Like I just went on my first cruise back in January, and I have a laptop with me, and I was doing swing trading more so, but I was just like, man, the idea of it was just really fascinating to me. Like, I'm out here at a beautiful place in the Bahamas. I've got access to the internet, thankfully, and I can trade, and then I can just spend the rest of the day having fun. I thought, how cool would it be that one day, I could be on the ship and trade a few days while I'm on the ship and make all the money to pay for the cruise and then some, right? Totally possible. So for me, that's one of the things in the back of my mind with this goal is like, what does it actually look like? You have to have a picture, and even better, I think, is to call it a mini movie. See the images as a video, almost like playing in your mind. Like, what does that goal actually played out look like? So anyways, this is day one, goal setting. Encourage you, just take like 5 minutes. Shoot, take 2 minutes, okay, 2 freaking minutes, and write it down. What is your goal around day trading? What do you expect to get from it, right? And even if it's just a sum of money, like, I want to make $100,000 and I'm out, like whatever, but be specific about it. Just spend 2 minutes and write it down. That's what I did. I had it written down before trading even came across my lap. Like literally I had it written down that I was I was doing work that was fun and could make me a lot of money, like literally written down. So encourage you to do that. Take the 2 minutes and stay tuned for the next video. We're getting more into this. Take care, guys.